In this video, we are going to review some of the concepts that we're going to talk about when creating classes. And right now, what you need to know is that I have written a dog class, and we don't have to know all the details to be able to use that class. So for example, I do know that in order to create a dog, I need a name, I need an age, and I need a weight. And so that information would be provided to me in what's called an API document. An API document is a document that describes how to use a class. And so I would know that, so I could create a new dog. So when you construct an object, I use the new keyword, and then I have to fill in the attributes that are needed. And I also give that object a name. So in this case, I gave the object the name of Rover. So Rover is my object's name. So then when I go to access different methods with that object, I use this nomenclature here, or I use object name dot method name. So for example, I know that I can rover.printinfo is going to call a method that prints the information for Rover. I can make Rover eat. I can then print the information again to see what that did to Rover, and I'm going to assume that it's going to change Rover's weight. Then we are going to play and see what happens to Rover's weight. We're going to eat without a parameter. So this first eat method has a parameter, which is a value that we send in. And then the second method here has no parameter. And so one of them will have a value sent in, one of them does not. So how does that differ? So if I run this code right now, we can see that Rover started off at weighing 45.5 pounds. Like, here's our information that we sent in, so that makes sense. After we let Rover eat with a 1 for a parameter, Rover gained a pound. I'm assuming these are in pounds, it's not labeled. Then I let Rover play, and so when Rover played, Rover's weight reduced by half a pound. And then I let Rover eat, and Rover gained back half a pound. So then I think Rover's getting overweight, so I'm going to let Rover play some more. And every time we let Rover play, now it's yelling at me here in Eclipse because I am not using object name dot method name. I have to use the name of the object dot method name. And you can see that it brings up a list of methods that I can apply to this object. So we're going to let Rover play, and then we are going to print out Rover's weight again in order to see what happens to Rover's weight. Okay, so run it again, and now Rover is dropping weight because we haven't fed Rover, but we let Rover out to play, okay, quite frequently, 3 times. So that gives you an example of how you can actually interact with a class without knowing anything about it. And you guys do this all the time in everyday life. Like every time you add a new contact in your phone list, what do you fill in? You fill in all the attributes for the person. You fill in their phone number, maybe their email address, their birth date, and all that information, and it stores it for you. And then later on, you can perform an action by saying, I want to call that person, or I want to text that person. So behind the scenes, they're using a class. So to give you a sneak peek at the dog class, if you look over here on the left, we actually will, down the road, not right away, write the class in a different file. So this is what the dog class looks like. You have your attributes. You have what we call constructors, which you don't need to worry about for now. We have accessor methods, which are the methods that get your data. We have a mutator method, which changes the data. Their specific ones are called setters. But we also have a helper mutator method down here. The eat method changed weight, and so did the play method. And then I had a helper method to print the info. So behind the scenes, this was the code that I was utilizing, but we didn't know that because we didn't have to know that. So that's the idea of information hiding and that encapsulation, that all the data and all the methods are behind the scenes. They will talk about public access, and a lot of that refers to the fact that all of these methods have to be public for the user to access them. But note that the instance field data or the attributes data is private. And that will be something we learn about more later on. Just a quick peek, you will be looking at or working with something called a people counter. And your people counter, when you look at it, is going to be written all in one file for now. And so you will have your driver program that will run the class methods with an attendee counter. So the attendee counter is what we call your object. And attendee counter is a people counter. And the people counter has methods such as get count, increment count, print count, and reset count. And it has one attribute or instance field. So that's one of those that you will be working with in your readings. So good luck with your material in this unit, and good luck with your introduction to objects.